r/entitled Karens. Entitled Karen asked me to cater her brat on a plane. It happened on my last holidays. I took a trip to UK to go see my family. I saw a woman with the OL Karen haircut boarding with her child. I knew it was fine because he was not a goddamn baby that would cry all flight. When I got to my seat, I found that I was beside of the Karen. I didn't say a word. On the seats, there are screens that allows to watch films or even see the progress of the flight. When we took off, spoiled brat was really interested in my screen. Though I was watching Top Gun, Maverick, that kid wanted to watch this film too. Instead of watching it on his personal screen, he sat in front of me and blocked the vision. I took it up and put it back into its seat. It started to cry like its life depended on it. The Karen quickly calmed it down and yelled at me to tell her child to watch films on my screen. I argued back to turn on his screen so it could watch whatever it wanted. It was the wrong thing to say. She called a flight attendant and argued with the poor lady. I seized that opportunity to get a drink, and I think I saved that poor lady who had nothing to do with that incident. For the Karen, she had to pay a fine for her kid who ended up breaking my screen. For me, I had a few money left and upgraded to business class. There, I got better meals. When I was leaving my seat to move to business, the Karen was like, "I would kill you if I could." What a sweet karma it was.
Karen tries to lift me off disabled seat. Okay, so this happened a couple of years ago now. Sometime during the summer, I started experiencing weird symptoms such as double vision, complete limb numbness, and temporary paralysis. One day, I had had enough and decided to take the bus to the hospital since no one could take me. I got on the bus and immediately sat on the seat closest to me, which was the seat for disabled individuals, as I could barely lift my right leg by this point. The first few stops were fine, but then, in comes this Karen. She's around 5 feet 2 inches, weighs 200 or so lbs, and looks to be in her 60s. She beelines straight to me. I don't think anything of it and assume that she's gonna sit in one of the seats across from me, but no. Here's where the interaction starts.
Excuse me, you are occupying a seat that's meant for disabled folk.
Me, nods. Keep in mind I am feeling incredibly ill at this point.
So get out. You look healthy and young.
Me, shakes my head.
I said get out.
I'm sick.
No, you're not, you slur for Mexicans. You people always find ways to take advantage of us.
Sighs and shakes my head. I'm not even Mexican BTW, and I was ready to just get off.
Do you understand?
Grabs my elbows and tries to lift me. Me, ma'am, I am on my way for an emergency. I will tell staff that you assaulted me. Anyway, she huffed and sat down, but when it came time for my stop, she tried to hold her leg out for me to trip on. I dragged myself out and walked into the hospital. I ended up being diagnosed with MS later on, and I still get grief for it because some people think I look too healthy. I've even had a lady confront my mom and I when she saw that we parked in a disabled spot, but that's a different story.
Karen rips out my hearing aids on bus. I don't know exactly if this fits in on this subreddit, but hi, I, 16M, am deaf and require hearing aids for 1 protection and 2 to help me hear a bit. I am 92% on the right and 78% on the left, meaning I can barely hear at all out of my right ear. I was going home one day after finishing work at a local convenience store. Everything was normal and the traffic was quite fast, unlike usual, so I sit down at my bus stop and wait to catch the next stop home. I get on the bus after waiting for about 20 minutes when I see a lady running yelling at me to catch the door for her. At least that's what I've been told, but as I'm dead I had no idea. She ended up getting the bus driver's attention and got on the bus. Round 1 of BS. At this point Karen poked me on my shoulder, getting my attention, asking me why I wasn't holding the door for her. "Oh, you were calling, I'm sorry I didn't hear you," I talk softly.
Well, maybe you should listen next time.
I'm really sorry, but I'm deaf, but I'll try my best next time. Karen starts giggling. What's so funny?
You. Deaf? Nice joke, but if you were deaf, how can you hear me right now?
Because I can lip read and hear a tiny bit.
Yeah, you and your people always making things up for attention.
Karen sits down 2 sets behind where I sit. After about 30 minutes the bus ride my stop gets announced, but I didn't hear it as I was distracted by something else on my phone. I know the driver pretty well, so he was trying to tell me it's next stop, but he couldn't get my attention as everyone else were too loud.
Round 2 of BS. Karen walks up to me and starts talking to me, but again everyone was too loud for me to know, so she rips my hearing aid out pretty hard as well, which meant I started bleeding from my ears and was in excruciating pain, me, yelling, "What the F *** K lady?"
Karen starts yelling at me, but I'm too distracted by my bleeding ears and the high pitches noise killing my ability to hear fully for a bit. Luckily the bus driver pulls over and kicks the Karen out quickly and gives me some tissue to stop the bleeding. I went home that day with one less hearing aid than usual and extreme pain in my ear. The rest of that month I decided to take the train instead, even though it's a bit more expensive. I hope this story actually is allowed here, and I hope no one here will ever be like this.
Karen wouldn't let me use the restroom. Saw the post about the girl who has bladder issues and it reminded me of this story. This was way back when I was 8 years old and in elementary school. At the time, I had really bad pooping issues where I would get constipated rather easily. So if I felt like I had to poop, I needed to obviously go. Teachers knew about this problem, except for Karen herself. Miss Fisher. School had just ended and my grandma wasn't there just yet to pick me up. As I was waiting, I felt like I needed to go. I was constipated during this time, so I really felt like I had to go. So I walked to the bathroom only to be stopped by Miss Fisher. She got in my face, telling me that the school bathrooms were closed and if I went, I would get in trouble. She threatened 8-year-old me with suspension. I was smart enough to know the bathrooms near the front of the school, aka the waiting area to be picked up, were not closed. You can't close school bathrooms, especially if little children say they need to go potty anyway. So when she walked away, I walked inside the bathroom. I was still nervous with that threat of suspension. I stood in that bathroom debating if I should go or not, but I really felt like I had to poop. However, my anxiety got the best of me and I decided against it. As I walked back out of the bathroom, Miss Fisher rushed over to me and grabbed me by the arm, yanking me away from the bathroom.
"Did you go to the bathroom after I told you not to?"
She yelled that at me. I shook my head, almost crying. I never knew this teacher and she didn't know me, so why was she being so hostile towards a literal child? She continued yelling at me. I convinced her that I didn't actually go and she let go of me and continued to stand in front of the bathrooms so no one could enter then. When my grandma got there, I told her what happened. I told her the teacher grabbed me and prevented me from going to the bathroom. This honestly left me with a small accident in my pants, which was all too embarrassing for me. My grandma obviously told my mom, and after confirming it with me, she raised hell with the principal the next day. She was pissed that an adult put their hands on her small child. I was really small for my age. I was closer to the size of a 4/5-year-old than an 8 years old. She was pissed that she essentially broke the law by holding a student from going to the bathroom. She knew the bathrooms weren't closed right as school ended because there were after-school programs. Long story short, Miss Fisher left the school. She was no longer a teacher there shortly after that talk with my mom. Obviously, I don't know what fully went down between her and the principal, but she was transferred out of the school pretty quickly. So yeah, take that, Miss Fisher. Screw you.